Hello, hi there. Welcome to Lockdown Manenos. Yes, in these videos, I'm not telling you any sad things. I'm just telling you more about myself and my journey. So those that haven't yet watched it, welcome. Hi, I hope you're well. I hope you're keeping safe. Yes, yeah. And I'm thanking God for the realization that oxygen is a blessing. So anyway, let me get right into it. Like some of you already know, I'm a screenwriter. Not only a screenwriter, most of you know me as an actress in Fun Factory, but that's not all I do. I do lots of work behind the scenes. I write scripts, I write stories, I produce. I'm a production manager on Music Express. So being in production came from my love for production hasn't just started right now. I've done costuming for some films, like Waiting for My Tractor, The Bullion Van. So I've had an opportunity to work with various groups of people, with various teams, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about working on teams as a writer. Many writers are selfish. We are selfish. Let me not put myself out of the cocoon. We are selfish, we are individualistic, and finding a team of people to work together in any department can be difficult. But I think it's most especially difficult on a writer's table, finding people that sing, finding people that forget about their issues with each other and know that they have to push for a certain goal, that the reason as to why they are on that table is to make a certain show successful. So everything else is not important. The most important thing is the show. But keeping in mind the respect for each other's ideas. When you're on a writer's table, I've been on a writer's table since season 1 of The Hostel. At first, it was, of course, we found Q and Console, but Console had left. Then Q, that is Quez Kaganda, he had to go get on set and become the director, so that left me and Frank Bisase. So Frank and I hustled and finished 90 episodes of season 1 of The Hostel. Sleepless nights. No friends, no family, nothing like that. So we're in that cocoon. So just because of that, we got closer as friends. So anytime he would say something, I'd quickly finish up his sentences because I knew where his mind was at. And we thank God for our producer, Solea Munyana. Yo! Solea was such a, you know how you have, if you want to put things together, the glue that keeps things together, that is Solea Munyana. That was Solea Munyana for us in The Hostel. Yeah, Hostel production, Fast Track production. So Solea was the producer, but she was also in the creative room many times. So she knew where we're at. She was concerned about what was happening in the production. I guess I would call her a showrunner. That's what they call them in Hollywood. But here we are in UG. But I'll use the name showrunner because that's what she is. And that's what she was for us as The Hostel. So come season 2, the managers decide it's time to recruit more writers. And then you're given the responsibility to help source. Like guys came in for an interview, and the interview they had to do, yes, writers also do interviews. So the interview they had to do was to write a spec script. Like they have been watching the show, they know the characters. So ideally they had to write a script, their own script for The Hostel. So that was the exercise. They were given time, they were given the character profiles, and they went on to write. So after they had written, we read through their scripts and we knew, like, you know, from a writer's writing, you can tell their strength, you can tell their weakness if you have a good eye, and you can also tell the kind of personality that you're going to deal with. So that is how the next team for writing for The Hostel came about. From 2, I think we became 4. let me see, it was myself, Frank, Matthew, Fiona, and Daphne. And then later, Q joined us on the table as the script editor. It's important for any writing to have a script editor, because as writers, as a group of people, you agree on how the episodes are going to run. That's why you have a writer's table. We created the stories. We broke them down. Like, we knew from episode 1 to episode 20. That is how we used to work. Because when you're writing for television, it's time. It's not like when you're writing for a feature or a movie, where you can take like 6 months, 4 years writing that very same script. Television is different. It's time. Everything's about time and money. So the production, everything is moving. So it begins with the writers, and then it moves on to the next phase. The actors, the directing, the show happening. So it's a whole system. So the system has to be in sync. If anything breaks down, it affects the whole sync. For example, in case an actor got sick and you have written 20 episodes ahead, and then they let you know that this actor cannot be available on set, you have to go backwards and tweak things so that if they are not available, what is going to happen to the script? So that tweaking does not only affect that script, it affects all the other scripts that you have done. So that means you have to go back, you have to stop what you're doing in that moment and fix. It's crisis management. So you are ready for anything. You are ready for a writer getting sick. If another writer got sick, one of the other writers took on the scripts. But the beauty about the writing team that I worked for, we were like a family. We were so in sync in that if there was a scene that was troubling me, that I didn't understand it, it didn't make sense to me, or like I had tried to write it several times and it wasn't coming out the way I wanted, I would pass my computer to Frank and ask him to pass me his, so that I could write his script for him as he writes for me that particular scene. So it's that connection, it's that sync that you want on the writer's table. And when we had issues, say at home, of course, there'll be issues like you're fighting with your boyfriend. He doesn't understand why you're not, the relationships suffer. So, of course, breakups happened. Then it's like you're in a relationship with your script. You're in a relationship with your work. Everything else is out. But what I decided after season 1, I decided that I was not going to take work at home anymore for season 2. If I was going to go through it and remain, sane, I couldn't take work anymore at home. Like, going home was resting for me. We used to write at the office. They never used to allow us to write at home until later. I think it was until... was it season 3, season 4? I think it was until season 4 when we'll just come into the office, discuss the storylines, everybody gets their episodes, and then we'll write at home. Season 1, season 2, season 3, we were writing at the office. Like, the bosses said, there is no way they're letting the writers out of sight. So we would get our different spaces, our different corners. Frank used to write in the bathtub. Like, he'd go to the bathtub and sit there and type out his stuff. So each of us would find a comfortable zone and get to writing. Yes, where was I? Teamwork. Yes. So the thing about writers' tables is that when the table sinks, when somebody starts an idea, whenever an idea was brought, one had to defend their idea, no matter how stupid it sounded. Because the thing about those stupid ideas is what works. So you had to be confident enough to speak, because everybody at the table is a strong character. So you can't be so laid back. But we also had some people who are not so like self, yeah. I really know how to defend my points. When I have an idea, I toss it out there, and when I know somebody's going to say no, my mind is like, weaving something else. So I was always standing tall. But then we had a few writers, like Fee. Fee's one of my favorite people. Quiet, laid back. She would listen. Yeah. And then you guys go on and on and on and on and on. And when you have agreed and you've said, yeah, I think that works for that scene. Yeah. Like the goal of the scene, we have achieved it. So as you write your scene, you have to keep in your mind that your scene has a beginning, a mid, and an end. Just one scene has a beginning, middle, and end. That scene has a goal. And what is the goal of the scene? Like, why are you writing it? Every time Q would look at our scripts, you'd get comments in your script. Like, you'd hand in a script that has 24 pages. Yeah? And you'd get it back with 30 pages because he has written on every scene with his edits, with his additions, with his questions. So when you would get back your script, you'd have to look through every scene. And sometimes the question was, what is the goal of the scene? What do you want to achieve with this scene? Of course, sometimes it would get annoying. Yeah, you're looking at what he has written and you're thinking, really, couldn't you just let this go? You'd feel like it's such a tiny thing, but that tiny bit affects the story in ways you cannot imagine. So there is nothing big, there's nothing small. Everything is important in a script. So anyway, Fee would, when you're done, should then put up her hand and ask a question or say something that puts a hole in the whole episode. And then you get back to reconstructing, rebuilding. What am I trying to say? I'm saying that everything at the writer's table it's like a construction site. You build, you break until the story is firm. And when you get into the writing, sometimes when you get into the writing, even what you've created at some point is not making sense. So you pick up your phone and you call a friend, the guys who are on the writer's table. That is how it helped us. Like, you don't have to go insane on your own. You're insane with everybody else. And the madness at the table was sinking. So you were not afraid to speak out that stupid idea because everybody understood where you're coming from. No one would ever say, that's a crazy idea. Okay, yeah, sometimes you'd get it and then they're like, okay, it's a crazy idea, but I like it. Let's try it out. So each of us had a strength and a weakness. And the most important thing was for the head writer. Of course, writers' tables have head writers because writers also need to be kept in control. Otherwise, it gets out of hand. So it was important for the head writer to know the strength and the weaknesses of the writers so that it helps with the sync. Where one is strong, the weakness is strengthened by the others, the weaknesses merge and they become a strength. So don't look out. If you're on any writer's table, don't look out and concentrate on somebody's weakness. No, that weakness is important. As a character trait, it is very important for somebody to have that, even as a writer. So I had beautiful moments with all the writers' tables I've been on. I was on the writers' table for the hostel, at Fast Track for all the 4 seasons, season 1, 2, 3, and 4. And while we were doing season 4, of course, there were some writers that came and left and moved on with their lives. Daphne had to go to school. Frank left the country. Fiona at some point left the country to go to school. So that meant a new group of writers. I remained a constant. Matthew Champiu remained a constant. So we had new writers coming on board. Oh, I'd forgotten about Idris. I wrote with Idris. He's now a producer at NTV. I wrote with Idris, I think, for season 2, and then at some point he moved on. So season 4 of the hostel, which was called Hostel Serenity, I was still on that team with Matthew Chanpugh and a new group of writers, very beautiful minds, but also them getting on the table. It was after still the same thing. Spec scripts they wrote, we looked at the scripts, and it's the realization of this person can work with the team, this person can't. So they were recruited that way. Writing teams, amazing. I don't like, sometimes I honestly don't know how to work on my own. Like for me, I think it's a good thing. Yeah, it's not that I can't write on my own. I can write on my own, but creative wise, it's good to have different voices on the table, so that you're not in your head alone, so that you don't start to think that you're the smartest writer alive, so that you don't start think that there are no brilliant people other than you out there. Like, there are crazier people, there are more brilliant people. So I advocate for writing teams. I advocate for teamwork anytime, any day, so that it also helps with the craziness that is in your mind. You get a consolation that you're not alone. There's somebody who thinks exactly like you do. So if you're out there and you want to start writing, start. Yeah. And I'm sure some of you are asking yourselves, was it just because I met Philip that it pushed me into writing? No. I used to enjoy writing poetry, one, and also when I got into, of course, I went to school to do drama. My thing was I wanted to do acting. Yeah, I've always wanted to be an actor. But when I got out there, I realized I needed more skills. Every time I would go for an audition, they'd look at your face and say, your face is young. You have a baby face, so we can't give you this role. So I decided, if I cannot be in front of the screen, yeah, behind the screen has a lot of work to get done. So there was doing costume. I did that for a while. And from the costume I decided, writing, you have an opportunity here, take it. So I got into the writing, and I realized I'm so passionate about it. And I was 27 when I started doing this. So imagine if I started writing earlier, but I don't regret starting my writing at 27. I don't regret at all. So yes, that is how I got into it. And I'm still here. It's hard. Sometimes I want to quit, honestly. But then the characters in my head, every time you have a script to write, the characters are talking to you. You get into a relationship in that period of writing, and the characters are speaking. So you don't write alone. You write with the characters, and of course, you write with God. He's the one that gives us the spirit of creativity. He's the greatest creator I know. So which makes you, as a creator, a small God. So, that reminds me, we used to call ourselves creators because that's what we are. We are creators too. We write things, actors give them life, and then the director visualizes, and then it's on your screen, and then you, our beautiful audience, watch and critique. So I believe today, teamwork. If you're not a team player, start today. You'll achieve much more as a team than alone. Thank you for watching. Oh, and thank you for the feedback. Let's share if you've been doing any writing, poetry, novels, film, stage, radio, advertising, anything. Let's talk about writing. Ciao.